Hello, readers. Welcome again. I hope you are well. This is part 2 of the book If God Was a Banker by Ravi Subramanian. If you don't listen to part 1, the link is in the description. Please check out. On day 2 of the induction, both Sundeep and Swami came on time. Not like the first day when they both were 2 hours ahead of schedule. Didn't see you at Brian's party last night. What happened? Asked Swami. The moment he saw Sundeep. The latter was not listening. His eyes were focused on the door. Kalpana had just walked in. She was looking stunning in a violet sari. Her free-flowing hair added to her girlish charms, leaving Sundeep speechless for a minute. "Sundeep!" Swami called out again, but Sundeep was already heading towards the door. "What a bomb!" murmured Sundeep when Kalpana passed him. She heard him but decided to ignore it. She went straight to the vacant seat next to Swami. Sundeep realized that Swami was asking him something and turned towards him. "Oh yes, Swami. How was the dinner last night?" "Sundeep, I was asking you why you didn't come for the dinner." This time Sundeep heard him. "Oh, Aditya had called me." "Why?" "Oh." Swami was worried that Sundeep had screwed up something. He wanted to talk about the retail launch strategy. Sundeep was showing off. He wanted to know our views. "Hope you told him that the launch strategy was flawed, and it should not be a credit cards-led strategy. Did you tell him about our lunchtime conversation yesterday, that the launch paper is not a well-thought-through document, rather a hastily made one that will not cut ice in the market?" "I didn't get a chance," lied Sundeep. He hadn't taken his eyes off Kalpana. "She is looking terrific," he murmured. "Yes, she is." When Sundeep heard Swami say this, he realized that his murmur was a bit too loud. Sundeep did not tell Swami anything about his discussion with Aditya. Everything he had told Aditya the previous evening were actually ripped from his lunchtime conversation with Swami. Sundeep had chosen not to mention Swami and had passed off everything as his own thoughts. He had no qualms about seizing the opportunity to impress Aditya. Swami would never get to know of the discussion Aditya had with Sundeep. Round 1 had gone to Sundeep, without Swami even realizing it. Aditya was late for office on Tuesday. He had reached home quite late, well past midnight after his crazy discussion with Sundeep. "The guy has balls," thought Rao on his way home. He could not help being impressed by the young talent he had unearthed. He stayed awake for a long time, thinking about Sundeep's point of view. There was significant merit in what he said. For long, Aditya's office had resembled the sets of Yes Minister, the popular British soap. But finally someone from outside had come in like a whiff of fresh air. "He will go a long way," thought Aditya, as his eyes closed involuntarily. It was 4 a.m. when he slept. As a consequence, he overslept and was late to work. Normally, Aditya would leave early in order to beat the heavy morning traffic. Today, however, he was late and had to contend with 25 extra minutes of driving through the maddening Mumbai traffic. When he reached office, there were 3 messages from Brian Close waiting for him. "What's it about?" he asked Natasha when she gave him the messages. "Don't know. I asked him, but he wouldn't tell. He seemed quite easy and had even dropped in once to see you. He requested that you call him once you get in. Didn't seem to be anything urgent. Thanks. How was dinner, sweetheart?" He was surely teasing her. "Was very good. In fact, Sundeep couldn't stop singing ballads about your conversation with him last night. Good. An intelligent young man he is. A bit arrogant, though. Can you please line up dinner for him with me on Saturday? At my place." Natasha couldn't hide her disappointment. She was looking forward to dinner with Sundeep on Saturday, but now her boss had usurped him. She didn't say anything. Her look said, "It all? Well, if I have upset any plans that you might have already made, may I invite you to join us too." Aditya was too perceptive. "Also check with Brian if he is free. I will drop in and say hello." Aditya walked into his room while Natasha dialed Brian's extension. "Mr. Brian on his way to see you." Natasha breezed into Aditya's room and announced. The very next moment, Brain walked in. "Aditya, I must tell you this. At the dinner last night I met these two young recruits, Swami and Kalpana. Very bright guys. I had an interesting conversation with them. While I was speaking with them, they mentioned that we should not launch credit cards without building a service infrastructure. Instead, we should launch other quick revenue-generating products. Quite interesting that they should mention car loans. They were emphatic that we should stay away from credit cards till we have strengthened our branch infrastructure and service delivery channels. I found that discussion quite intriguing. Couldn't wait to mention it to you. It is worth your while to have a chat with those blokes. Not sure, but something tells me that we might have missed a trick or two." Aditya couldn't hide his surprise. "Brian, it is quite a coincidence that you should mention it now. Around the same time yesterday, I had a chat with a guy called Sundeep, and he had a similar view. So taken in was I by this discussion that I couldn't cut it short and attend your address. But yes, I will speak to these guys as well." He then buzzed Natasha to join them. "Natasha, will you please ask Swami and Kalpana also to join Sundeep for this Saturday night dinner with me?" Natasha nodded. Aditya's home was a 20th floor penthouse apartment in a posh sea-facing apartment complex on Carter Road in Bandra. Huge by any standards, it covered 1,500 square feet. The sprawling living room alone could play host to over 100 people. It had 3 seating bays, with carpets imported from Afghanistan providing comfort for the feet. Antique furniture brought in from the villages of Tanjore gave it a rich feel. Many visitors to his house often wondered how Aditya stayed here all alone. Aditya had separated from his wife Mandira after 12 years of marriage. Not many people in New York International Bank knew about his wife or had met her. The separation, which happened over 2 years ago when both of them were in the U.S., was bitter and financially draining. Despite that, Aditya had enough to last him a lifetime. The talk was that after he joined New York International Bank, Aditya had little or no time for his family, and slowly both of them started drifting away. The fact that they had no children didn't quite help either. He had a cook who stayed with him. He had taken good care of him for over a decade now. Kalpana was the first to arrive, followed by Sundeep and Natasha. Natasha had picked up Sundeep on her way. Swami was the last to arrive. Unfamiliar with Mumbai, it had taken him some time. To locate the building, Aditya was a great host. Natasha helped him and played the role of a good hostess to the core. This was the first time that any new recruits had been invited to Aditya's house for dinner within a week of their coming on board. Something had to be different with these guys. "Where's your drink, Sundeep?" Natasha asked. "I will just get up and fix myself one," he said. Sundeep didn't need any invitation for booze. She turned to Swami. "Where's yours?" "I do not drink. I will have a thumbs up." Those were the days when Coke and Pepsi had not re-entered India. Thumbs Up and Campa Cola dominated the soft drink scene. Everyone looked at Swami as if he was from a different planet. He was embarrassed. "I have never felt like drinking," he said. Aditya sensed his discomfort and quickly changed the topic. "So, Swami, your parents are in Chennai?" "My mother, sir. Dad passed away when I was 2. He died of cancer." "I am so sorry, Swami," said Aditya. "Your mother must be extremely proud of all that you have achieved in a short while. I would like to meet that lady one day." "Thank you, sir," said Swami. He couldn't take all the adulation. All this embarrassed him. Meanwhile, Sundeep was ogling at Kalpana. She was wearing a red top with a plunging backline over a pair of Levi's. Sundeep couldn't take his eyes off her. She looked stunning. Ever since Kalpana had started spending time with Swami, she had been ignoring him. Sundeep was getting a bit worked up on that. Whole of this week, he had been trying to ask her out for dinner, and she had been constantly putting it off. Natasha was constantly observing Sundeep. In a world of middle-aged, pot-bellied bankers, Sundeep was one young dude she was looking forward to. She'd spent hours getting ready, trying out numerous outfits before she settled on one, and Sundeep was not even looking at her. She was looking forward to this night, but it seemed to belong to Kalpana. She had offered to pick up Sundeep, despite the fact that the place where Sundeep stayed was out of the way for her. Sundeep was very quiet all along the route. He could sense the widening chasm in his relationship with Kalpana. Natasha tried to cheer him up. She flirted with him, but the normal Sundeep was missing. "You seem to be lost somewhere," said Aditya. "Is everything fine?" He was looking at Sundeep. Natasha was not the only one who had noticed. Once he had everyone's attention, Aditya started talking about the plans for New York International Bank. "Brian and I had separate conversations with Yo on the launch of our bank's retail business. All of you had some interesting thoughts. The purpose of tonight's meeting is to brainstorm and lay out the broad priorities for the launch. Global HQ wants us to be self-funding in 3 years' time. That is, we will have to generate the required investments from our profits in 3 years' time. Natasha will take notes." The preamble was set. This was followed by a long and arduous discussion. It was good that none of them had to go back to their families, as they kept no track of time. Sundeep, Swami, and Kalpana battled it out with Aditya on the product sequencing of the launch. All three were very passionate about what they felt. Aditya was playing Asmart game. He contested even those points of view that were not divergent from his. He played the devil's advocate. He questioned every simple logic. He made sure that they thought through every option and every consequence of their actions. It was 5 in the morning when they called it quits. Sundeep was completely drunk. The adrenaline rush of the discussion had kept him going. The moment it was time to pack up, he couldn't take it anymore and collapsed. Aditya called for his cook. "Ramu Kaka, please take him to the guest room and leave him there. He can find his way back to the hotel tomorrow." "It's okay, Aditya, I will." "Drop him at his hotel," said Natasha. Aditya just smiled and nodded. Ramu Kaka helped Sundeep get into Natasha's car. Natasha then drove towards Sundeep's hotel. Swami and Kalpana left together. Both were sober. Sundeep and Swami were in their second week of training. Mr. Sawant, the training head of the bank, was taking a session on career progression. "Excuse me, Mr. Sawant." Natasha knocked on the door of the training room. Sawant excused himself and came out of the room. "Aditya wants to meet Sundeep and Swaminathan ASAP," said Natasha. ASAP meant as soon as possible, and Mr. Sawant, an old hand, did not require anybody to tell him that. When Aditya said ASAP, he meant now. When Sundeep and Swami walked out of the training hall, both thought, "Now what?" Natasha had disappeared, and hence they couldn't even ask anything. They were nervous. "I haven't done anything wrong today. Hope it is not about my passing out on Saturday night," said Sundeep. "If I understand Aditya correctly, he wouldn't have pulled us out of a training program for that. And why me? If he wanted to speak to you about Saturday night, he should have called you and not both of us." Swami had a point, but that couldn't satisfy Sundeep. He was tense again. He was beginning to wonder why he was getting tense every time Aditya called. "Come in, boys," said Aditya as soon as he heard the knock on the door. "Natasha, can you please organize some coffee and join us? This is going to take some time. And before you come in, please get Kalpana also to join in." Swami and Sundeep gave each other blank looks. They were wondering what the hell was going on. Natasha came in. The coffee came in another 6 minutes, around the same time that Kalpana joined them. All this while, Aditya was doing his mail and hadn't spoken a word. This was adding to the suspense. "Okay, guys," said Aditya, getting up and moving away from his IBM notebook. "I have something interesting to talk about. And if you guys are ready, we can start." Everyone in the room looked at each other, then at Aditya, and nodded in unison. No one spoke. I had a chat with Brian. I mentioned our discussion on Saturday night. He has agreed to a change in the launch plans, he announced. We will no longer launch credit cards in this market. We will first launch our loans business and then decide what we want to do next. Fabulous, everyone said at almost the same time. This was turning out to be their first strategic victory ever. Everyone's face lit up. I have agreed with Brian that we will launch car loans, cash loans, and, as Swami mentioned, we will get into the mass market with motorcycle loans and employee loans for corporates. Then Aditya paused. The statement was a very simple one, but its meaning was profound. Here was an organization which was willing to value a new thought process, new ideas, new principles, and a new approach, even if they came from someone who had no exposure to this business. That's not all, continued Aditya. There will be a team of 5 working on this project, and all 5 are in this room. This will be the core retail banking team for our bank. Sandeep jumped out of his chair. Eureka! If there is anything better than sex on the beach, this is it. Pin-drop silence followed. Sandeep suddenly realized the inappropriateness of his statement, and quietly sat down. Aditya burst out laughing. Everyone else followed suit. This was the most thrilling day in the life of each one of them. To be part of a launch team for one of the largest banks in the world, and that too within 2 weeks of joining. They couldn't have asked for anything better. Swami, Aditya continued, you and Kalpana will work on launching loans for 2-wheelers, both scooters and motorcycles, and personal loans for corporate employees. And Sandeep, you will work on the launch of car loans. Aditya's voice was music to everyone's ears. Aditya went on to explain, we have a 90-day deadline for the launch of these 2 products. In the next 3 months, we have to get these products up and running. We are in May right now. I have committed to Brian Close that we will launch these by the end of August. We will have till the year end to make these into successful revenue generators for the bank. Come January, we are committed to launch credit cards in this country. This is a commitment made at the board level, and we cannot go back on it. If we do not make your products a success by January, we will have to shift our focus to credit cards. The others in the room could not believe their ears. April got over 20 days back, so Aditya couldn't be playing an April Fool prank on them. Swami was almost in tears. Natasha began to wonder what her role was, when Aditya continued, since we have a lots to do and we do not have time on our hands, Natasha will be an assistant for the entire group. She will cease to be my secretary from this very instant and will move to a project role for the next 3 months. Will we begin work on this post our training? Kalpana asked him. Are you kidding? If you guys needed training, you wouldn't be here. All of you are off training from this very instant. If we harness any dreams of launching these products in the next 90 days, we cannot afford to waste a single moment from now on. I have spoken to Sawant, and he has agreed to release the 3 of you right now, said Aditya. Get cracking, guys. We will meet every day in the evening to take stock. We cannot afford to fail. I have stuck my neck out, and believe me when I say this. I do not like my neck tickled. Kalpana, Swami, and Sandeep slogged their butts off. Aditya was constantly on their backs, driving them crazy. But they did not mind it. They were here to learn the trade, and this was an opportunity even a madman wouldn't give them. Sandeep, who had to launch car loans, visited every single car dealer in town. He also started making rounds of car manufacturers for exclusive financing tie-ups. For the car manufacturers, all this was new. No bank had ever approached them, leave alone pamper them. Sandeep was able to wrangle out special customer-friendly schemes for financing new cars. The manufacturers were quick to jump onto the bandwagon, as they saw great value in some financier coming along to push car sales in order to pump his loan numbers. Sundeep convinced the manufacturers that they would be able to double their sales. If the VC financing options which NYB was willing to offer was bundled with the car sales, Swami and Kalpana, on the other hand, started visiting large corporates and public sector units for cash loans to their employees. Who wouldn't want a loan? Those were the days when banks were deposit gatherers, and lending was only done to large corporates. So when the young guns of NYB went around with their loan schemes, people queued up to hear them. Only politicians and film stars were supposed to elicit such an overwhelming response. In one unit in the Kolar gold fields near Bangalore, there was a virtual stampede to avail NYB loans. At the end of every day, Swami and Kalpana would wonder why anyone hadn't done this earlier in this country. The two businesses were a hit from the very start. There, however, was one casualty. Sundeep could see that Kalpana was losing interest in him. She was no longer responding to his advances. She would spend all her time with Swami. They are working on the same project, thought Sundeep, and consoled himself. In the first week of August, Aditya was called to New York. He left on a Thursday. Today's evening meeting has been called off since Aditya is off to New York. He asked me to call all of you and pass on the message, said Natasha over the phone. This was a God-sent message. For Sundeep. Have you told Kalpana? Asked Sundeep. You are the first one I called, heartless. Okay, don't bother calling her. I will call her and inform her. I will pass on the message to Swami too. Thanks, call me if you need anything. Sundeep kept the phone down and called Kalpana's extension. Hey, glad I caught you. Today's meeting is off. Oh, because Aditya is away in NY, Kalpana said. I was hoping that we guys would meet up and talk without Aditya. If you got nothing to do tonight, how does dinner sound? Sundeep washopping Kalpana would say yes. It's been a long time since we did this. Dinner with you? Never, said Kalpana. What the fuck is your problem? Retorted a furious Sundeep. Just kidding ya. I have already committed for dinner with someone else. Sorry, sweetheart. If you have time, let's pick up a quick coffee right now. Sundeep was quite put off, even though he realized Kalpana said that in jest. I am a bit caught up now. Need to go. Talk to you later, he said and hung up. Later he realized that he was guilty of not spending time with Kalpana. He promised himself that he will find time to ensure Kalpana gets back to him. Natasha had just come up to Sundeep to hand over a few documents which Aditya had given her. She had overheard Sundeep's side of the conversation with Kalpana. She couldn't make out that Sundeep was not happy with the outcome. She was feeling bad for him and decided to step in. She invited him for dinner. It's been a while, Sundeep. How about tonight? I am free. Sundeep was quite pissed with Kalpana, and, on rebound, decided to go out with Natasha. Natasha knew that she was not Sundeep's first choice, but she didn't mind. All through dinner, she kept wondering why Sundeep liked Kalpana so much. There were moments when she felt like expressing her feelings to Sundeep, but the fear of rejection stopped her. She preferred to wait and watch. After returning from New York, Aditya announced at the Monday evening meeting, New York is extremely happy with our progress. We have managed to create a stir in the group's management. They are all waiting for the initial results. You guys are going to become stars. We cannot fail. After this initial euphoria, it was back to business. Can I now get some updates from you guys? Demanded Aditya. We are meeting Brij Mohan Munjal day after tomorrow. Will you be able to come with us, Aditya? Said Swami. Brij Mohan Munjal was the chairman of Hero Honda Motors Limited, the largest manufacturers of motorcycles in the world. Getting a chance to meet him was a special opportunity, not to be missed at any cost. If they wanted a deal, they had to get it now. There would be no second chance. No, Swami, I won't be able to come with you. Why don't you go with Kalpana? In case Aditya is unable to come with you, would you want me to come with you, Swami? I have worked with car manufacturers in financing tie-ups. Sundeep was not really offering help. He wanted to somehow stop Kalpana from going alone with Swami. He had noticed her interest in Swami, but had ignored it, assuming that their closeness was purely professional. I think we should let the two of them go, Aditya quickly interjected. You already have your plate full with car loan deals, Sundeep. Sundeep didn't like the thought of Swami and Kalpana being away together for 3 days, but he could do nothing now. After the meeting, while they were leaving Aditya's room, Sundeep walked up to Kalpana, held her by the elbow, and said, "When you are back, we need toss it and chat." "What's the matter, Sundeep? Anything I need to know?" "I would rather talk to you when you have some time for me." Kalpana was a bit taken aback by Sundeep's abrupt manner. She and Sundeep went back a long way. "Sundeep, you appear to be quite stressed out. Come, let's get ourselves a cup of coffee. The coffee at India Coffee House is good. Swami and I have been there a few times." The mention of Swami irritated Sundeep a bit, but he did not let it show. The India Coffee House was in Nariman Point, 2 blocks away from their office. On their way out, they met Natasha in the lift lobby. "Hey guys, headed home?" "No, we are just going to get ourselves some coffee," said Sundeep. "Would you guys mind if I join in?" Natasha blurted out. "I have a splitting headache, and a cup of coffee will do me good." But later she saw their grim faces and realized that it was a mistake. "Of course not." Kalpana was forced to lie, as she couldn't afford to be rude to the boss's secretary. Sullen-faced Sundeep headed with the 2 beauties to the India Coffee House. Sundeep was thoroughly pissed. He went out to buy a packet of cigarettes, while the other 2 stayed inside sipping their coffee. The next 15 minutes were spent in silence, occasionally disturbed by 2 lines of pleasantries followed by monosyllabic answers. Sundeep finally gave up and said that he had to go. He left in a huff. Kalpana was concerned. What did Sundeep want to talk to her about? Why was he so stressed out? She wanted to call him back and drive him to his hotel, but before she could do that, he was gone. Sundeep spent the next 3 days on a bed of thorns. He was not at ease with himself. He had to talk to Kalpana. Was it too late? Would she be interested in him? He tried calling her once or twice in her room at the Delhi hotel, but couldn't speak to her, since she was never in her room. Once he even called well past midnight, but to no avail. Kalpana wasn't in her room. What the fuck is going on? Is the bitch sleeping around? He wondered. With Swami? He felt disgusted. Nah. She wouldn't even look at the South Indian uncle. He is not her type. Despite the self-assurance, he picked up the phone to call the hotel. "Good morning. The Imperial Hotel, Delhi. May I help you?" The telephone operator came online. "Can you put me through to room number 1248, Mr. Swaminathan?" Who should I say is calling? Sundeep thought for a moment and banged the phone down. He couldn't bring himself to call up Swami's room to check on Kalpana. What if she was indeed in his room? Something was not right, but he didn't know what. He couldn't even ask, and Yuan Swami and Kalpana's trip to Delhi was a great success. Hero Honda agreed to an exclusive 2-year all-India arrangement for the financing of Hero Honda two-wheelers with New York International Bank. This was fabulous. Hero Honda sold over 200,000 two-wheelers every month, and this deal gave NYB access to the entire Hero Honda customer base. This was a deal any bank would kill and die for. There was more good news for NYB. Sundeep had managed a tie-up with Maruti Suzuki for car financing. To say that Aditya was thrilled would be an understatement. His hand-picked team had given him 2 of the best possible deals. What more could he ask for? They decided to celebrate, just the 5 of them. The celebration was planned for Saturday at Aditya's penthouse. On Friday, the day before the scheduled bash, Sundeep got a call from Swami about 30 minutes before. "The daily evening debrief. Aditya asked me to call off the meeting. He has something else that has come up. At around 7:30 p.m., Sundeep went up to Aditya's room to have a word with him. His room was closed, and there was someone in his room. He looked at Natasha, eyebrows raised. The two have been inside for the last 2 hours. Natasha had understood his son said query. Which two? Sundeep was beginning to get curious. Aditya and Kalpana. What? Why? What happened? Where is Swami? Sundeep inundated Natasha with a barrage of questions. He was here about 30 minutes back. Just left. There was a blank look on Sundeep's face. Natasha hurriedly clarified. Swami. He was here. Aditya had called him in. Anything serious? Sundeep's eyebrows fell and wrinkles appeared on his forehead. Yes. Apparently Kalpana wants to quit. For God's sake, Natasha. Get serious. Sundeep was losing control. The last thing he wanted now was someone playing games with him. I am not kidding. Swami told me so. It didn't take Sundeep too long to realize that she was not kidding. He could sense something was wrong. He felt helpless, and he didn't like it when he was not on top of things. Swami had to make a few calls, so he has gone back to his desk. Said he might be leaving for his hotel soon. Natasha explained. Sundeep had no clue what was going on. He started prancing up and down the lounge waiting for these guys to come out. Do you want me to get Swami on the line? Natasha could see his anxiety and wanted to help. She pressed the speakerphone button and started dialing without waiting for Sundeep's answer. Hi, you have reached the voicemail of Swami. Swami's voicemail came on after 6 rings. Swami had left and there was no way to contact him. He would be on his way to the hotel, and at this hour it would be a good 50 minutes before he reached. There were no mobile phones in those days. Sundeep was very fidgety and nervous. He kept pacing up and down the lobby outside Aditya's room, like an anxious father-to-be outside the delivery room. Why did Kalpana want to quit? Was Aditya not happy? With her? What about Swami? Did things go wrong professionally between the two of them? I'm sure this fucking Swami would have tormented her and pushed her to the limit, because of which she now wants to quit. Numerous possibilities flashed through his mind. Poor thing, she would be in tears. He just wanted to rush into the room and take charge of the situation. At that very moment, the door to Aditya's room opened and he peeped out. Natasha, coffee, demanded Aditya, and then looked at Sundeep. Kalpana was sitting with her back to the door, and hence Sundeep couldn't exactly tell what was going on. Was she crying? Hey, Sundeep, what are you doing here? Come on in. Things don't look so bad, else Aditya won't be smiling. Everything looks fine. Sundeep heaved a sigh of relief as he walked into the room. Natasha, coffee for my friend too. Aditya was addicted to coffee. His mind wouldn't work without a coffee every half an hour. As he strode past Kalpana to occupy the sofa on the other side, he saw that she was smiling. A big grin on her face told Sundeep that everything was indeed fine. What's going on? What's the fuss about? He wondered. Young man, this lady here wants to quit, and I don't know how to stop her. These words from Aditya reinforced what Natasha had told him. Maybe you can, Tree? He added. But why? What's wrong with you, Kalpana? We have just about started jetting somewhere in this business, and you want to quit. You cannot just walk out on us like this. Sundeep was extremely anxious. He couldn't hide his desperation, or was it frustration? This has been going on for some time. I have been mulling over it and talking to Aditya and Swami for over a fortnight. Now, Swami again, wondered Sundeep. It has now reached a head, and we have to take a decision one way or the other. Aditya was quick to inform him and looked at Kalpana and smiled at her. Kalpana grinned back. This was irritating Sundeep no end. Everyone but him seemed to know what was going on. Were they serious, or were they playing him on? Kalpana, enough of fun. It's close to 8 in the evening. Can we get serious? He was not amused, one bit. I am getting married, Sundeep. This blew the wind out of Sundeep's lungs. Sundeep felt like he was at the epicenter of a nuclear blast. He was now sure that they were having fun at his expense. Kalpana, for God's sake, get serious. If you guys want to have fun, I am not interested. I'm leaving. See you tomorrow. I am not joking, Sundeep. I am getting married. In 45 days. Time. And who is the lucky guy? Natasha asked as she walked into the room with some coffee. One glare from Sundeep told her that he did not find it funny. Sundeep turned towards Aditya with a questioning look, hoping that he would respond. Don't. Look at me. Ask her who the guy is. I will not spoil her surprise. Sundeep looked at Kalpana. Out with it. Sundeep was waiting with bated breath for hearing the name, but he went momentarily deaf. He could see the movement of her lips and knew that some words were being formed, but he couldn't grasp them. Maybe he didn't want to hear the name. Swami! Shrieked Natasha. You are getting married to Swami. Wow! Natasha's excited yell brought Sundeep back to ground zero. He blacked out for a moment, lost his balance and stumbled backwards. The sofa stopped him from falling flat on the floor. He was quick to regain his composure and looked at Kalpana. Kalpana, you never cease to surprise me. That's great news. Wow, how did this happen? Kalpana smiled. It just happened, Sundeep. She was grinning from ear to ear. She didn't realize the pain in Sundeep's heart and couldn't see through Thali in his words. Natasha did. Boy, wasn't she pleased that Kalpana was getting married to Swami. Yes, Swami was a good guy, a guy you would like to take home to Mom, but that was not why Natasha was thrilled. Kalpana was out of reckoning now for Sundeep. At least now she had a chance. She moderated her ecstasy in the fear that Sundeep may not like it. After that, Sundeep was lost in his own thoughts. Why did this have to happen to him? And why Swami? He did not have looks, charisma, aggression. Nothing at all. How did Kalpana fall for a Tambram? And where did he falter? He was utterly disappointed. Natasha felt sorry for him, but at the same time she was glad that now she would have Sundeep all for herself. When Kalpana and Swami decided to get married, Swami's conservative mother was surprisingly happy. She did not have any issues with a Rajasthani daughter-in-law. Kalpana's parents, however, were initially against this marriage. Swami was not from the same economic background that they came from. However, once they met Swami, they too fell in line. In him they saw someone who would be honest and dedicated to his family. And, most importantly, someone who would keep their daughter happy. Kalpana was very clear that she would not work in the same organization as her husband. She also wanted time to adjust with this change in her life before she caught on with her career. Despite Swami's advising her against it, she decided to take the next couple of years off to focus on her married life. She was the one who took the call, and Swami respected her decision. Aditya, of course, tried to talk her out of it, but when she didn't budge, he let her go. Meanwhile, Swami returned to Aditya's room. He had, in fact, just stepped out to meet somebody, while Natasha thought that he had gone back to his hotel. Inside Aditya's room was a private cabinet. Inside the cabinet was a well-stocked bar. Aditya would throw it open on special occasions. Today was one such day, as he was extremely happy for Kalpana and Swami. Aditya took out a bottle of Dom Perignon. He had bought it on his way back from New York. Special moments call for special champagnes, he said, as he uncorked the champagne. Sundeep was quite distressed at this sudden turn of events. He couldn't even show his displeasure. Who am I to approve or disapprove of her decision? He thought, and picked up his first glass of champagne. Before Natasha, who was next, could pick up her glass, Sundeep had gulped down his first one. As he reached for the next one, Natasha knew that this was going to be a difficult night for him. After downing another glass, Sundeep held Swami by his elbow and said, "Well done, my pal. This is the biggest deal you have struck ever since you joined. New York International Bank. Cheers to the two of you." He gulped another glass. Natasha nudged him, trying to stop him from picking up one more. Sundeep didn't bother and helped himself to another drink. Swami knew that Sundeep had a soft corner for Kalpana, so he did not respond to his taunt. He liked Sundeep and respected his intelligence. He thought of him as a good friend. By the time Swami and Kalpana left, it was well past 10. Aditya too left after instructing Natasha not to let Sundeep drink too much. But Sundeep was already sloshed and on the brink of passing out. Natasha got up and went towards Sundeep. The moment she held him, trying to help him stand up, he pulled her down. "Now listen to me," he screamed at the top of his voice. "What is wrong with me?" "Nothing, Sundeep. You are absolutely fine." "Then why did that bitch do this to me? Why? Tell me. Why?" He was screaming at the top of his voice, shivering in anger. He had controlled himself in the presence of Aditya and Kalpana. The moment they had left, the bubble burst. "Women. All you women are like this. Bitches. Never to be trusted. You never bothered to tell her about your feelings for her, Sundeep. How can you expect her to reciprocate? Why was Natasha even trying? To reason with a drunk Sundeep? Shut up, you bitch. You don't even know her. She is a fucking whore. She flirted with me for 2 years, and now she wants to hump that son of a bitch. How could she? How could she? I know. You are also like her. All of you are the same. Fucking whores." Natasha was getting irritated by his language, but she was also feeling sorry for him. Sundeep was in a pitiful state. She hugged him tightly. "All of you are the same. You will also leave me. I know. I just know it." Sundeep was wailing like a child who had lost his favorite toy. She hugged him even tighter, trying to console him. "Do not worry, Sundeep. I will take care of you. I will always stand by you. I will never let you feel her absence in your life. I love you, Sundeep. I love you." She wanted to make him feel good. For a minute there was silence. Sundeep's wailing stopped. He didn't know how to react. He didn't look at her. He was scared. Kalpana spurning him for Swami had offended his male ego. He had never faced failure in his life, but the first big desire in his personal life had just ended in a catastrophe. He wanted to prove to Kalpana that he could live without her. Natasha provided this perfect opportunity for him. All these thoughts zoomed through his mind in an instant. What a creep he was. He turned his face upwards and looked into Natasha's eyes. All this while his face was snug against her breasts. Her eyes couldn't hide the fact that she was madly in love with him and wanted him desperately. Her face was right above his, their lips separated only by a few inches. Sundeep took the initiative. Natasha closed her eyes in anticipation. Sundeep kissed her on her lips. Natasha hugged him even more tightly but didn't open her eyes. Sundeep didn't stop. He was a devil. He had been spurned and had found a girlfriend almost on the rebound, and he was going to make the most of it. Sundeep's roving hands were all over Natasha. One hand started to unbutton her blouse, while the other raced up her velvet thighs. When his hand reached the heaven between her legs, she suddenly opened her eyes and stood up. "No, Sundeep. Not here." "Why? There's no one in office." Sundeep knew that the chances of anyone being in office at 11 p.m. was remote. "No, Sundeep. Not here. It's not right," she said and ran straight to the restroom. "Come back. I said come back." Sundeep ran after her. She stood in front of the restroom mirror staring at herself and her clothes, which were in disarray. "What am I doing? I have waited for this for 3 months. And now when it's going to happen, why am I scared of it?" Sundeep was inside in less than 3 seconds. He hugged her from behind and kissed her on the back of her neck. Involuntarily, her eyes closed. She wasn't able to resist anymore. Sundeep moved in for the kill. His hands moved to fondle her breasts. Natasha couldn't control herself, and neither could Sundeep. "Make love to me," Natasha demanded, as they got down to the floor. Suddenly the door opened and Aditya walked in. "What's going on?" "Way," he thundered as he walked into the loo. The moment he saw them on the floor, he quickly covered his eyes. "Oh my God, looks like I walked in at the wrong time. Keep at it. Just watch out for the security cameras." And he walked out with a chuckle. Aditya had gone down to the parking lot and then realized that he had forgotten his car keys in his office. On his way out after collecting the keys from his desk, he had heard some strange noises from the ladies' toilet. Thinking that someone was in distress, he had just looked in to see if everything was fine. He was in for a shock when he peeped inside, but he had pulled himself up quickly and had left the room, trying not to embarrass the two lovers. But Natasha was extremely embarrassed. Tomorrow the whole office would know about it. Well, maybe not. After all, Aditya is a gentleman. He will not make life uncomfortable for me. The passion suddenly evaporated. The mood was gone. Both of them got up, wore their clothes, and stepped out of the women's restroom. They walked down to the parking. No one spoke. Sundeep knew that this was not his day. He had lost out twice. With Natasha, he knew, he would get many opportunities. Kalpana was gone for good. The next 12 months were very hectic. NYB's aggressive foray into retail business was spearheaded successfully by Swami and Sundeep. International recognition came their way. With Aditya, both of them won global accolades for having built their success story on limited resources. Swami and Kalpana got married in a small ceremony in Woodlands Hotel in Chennai. Kalpana's parents wanted an extravagant wedding, but Swami insisted that it had to be a simple affair. He was worried that the extravagance might put off his middle-class relatives. Kalpana's parents were happy to oblige. Aditya attended the wedding along with Sundeep and Natasha. Even Ramu Kaka had accompanied them. Swami was his favorite, Swami, and Kalpana had chosen Kodaikanal, a small pristine hill station in the hills south of Chennai, for their honeymoon. Swami couldn't afford anything more extravagant and Kalpana was quite happy to go to Kodai. But on their second night together, Swami was being apologetic about being unable to take Kalpana to an exotic foreign locale. How does it matter? "I would be disappointed if you had any sightseeing plans on our honeymoon." Kalpana was trying to be at her seductive best, and smiled at Swami as she switched off the lights. Swami and Sundeep become hot commodities in the global community of NYB. Aditya had ensured that they get the required recognition and visibility internationally. They kept getting invites for various seminars and conferences across the globe. Retail financing in emerging markets. Swami could now deliver a lecture on this topic even in his sleep. At the annual Retail Banking Conference, a conference for the country CEOs, Swami and Sundeep were special invitees. The global chairman of NYB presented both of them with a Rising Star Award. They had finally arrived. Barring the Sundeep Kalpana hiccup, life had been very kind to all of them. Sundeep and Natasha got engaged and married after 6 months. Probably, the guilt of getting caught in the loo pushed them into marriage so soon. The initial success in the automobile loans business gave NYB confidence in its ability to deliver in retail business. Credit cards was next in line. Aditya had set a precedent with the businesses that he had begun. The group started expecting such high results from India in almost all the businesses. Aditya had become a rock star head of business. One day, Sundeep got a call from Aditya. "What are you doing, my friend?" Sundeep knew that Aditya spoke like this only if something was troubling him. "Nothing, Aditya. Just closing things for the day. Lots of pending work. Why don't we go for a drink on the way out? Just you, me, and Swami." "Sure, Aditya. Anything you want us to come prepared with?" Sundeep wanted to be sure. "No, Sundeep. We haven't gone out in a while. That's all. Will you be able to make it? Sure, Aditya. Will you inform Swami? He is not at his desk right now. Then he hung up. The three of them left office at 7:45 p.m. and headed to the Rain Tree Bar at the Taj, next to their office building. They were the only ones in the bar. It was too early and a weekday, too. Aditya ordered a screwdriver for himself, whiskey with soda for Sundeep, and a thumbs up for Swami. Why has he asked us out? Both were wondering at the same time. Guys, both of you have been very close to me. I look upon you not as employees of NYB, but as my own younger brothers. You have in a short while become a part of my world. I didn't want you to hear this from someone else. That's why I have called you here. Both Swami and Sundeep were fearing the worst. Was Aditya being called back to New York? I am quitting NYB. Aditya dropped his bombshell. What? The two of them exclaimed in unison. You can't be serious, Swami went on. Is something wrong, Aditya? No. Then why, Aditya? Where is the need? Everything is going on so well. In private, Aditya had harnessed a dream for over a decade. A dream of running his own company and turning it into a successful venture. He didn't want to continue working for someone else for long. He had always wanted to be his own boss. Aditya took pains to explain to them his dream, his aspiration, and his desire to create something from a scratch. But the two of them were in no mood to relent. They would have nothing of it. Both Swami and Sundeep felt they would be orphaned by his exit. Aditya had protected them all along, and they could focus on the task given to them. But now, with Aditya going, they were also wondering what would happen to them. By the time they left the bar, Aditya was literally in tears. He had no answers to Swami's and Sundeep's questions. The fact was that he wanted to quit and start a new business when his confidence and market reputation were on a high. And given his recent achievements at NYB, this was the best possible time for him to quit. 2 weeks passed. No one spoke about the discussion at the Rain Tree. They were hoping that if they ignored it, it would go away. That was not to be. When 2 uneventful weeks went by, Swami was sure that Aditya had canned the idea of leaving them. On an afternoon, like any other, Swami had come down to see Natasha after lunch, and they stepped out into the compound for a stroll. Suddenly they saw Aditya's Mercedes pull up into the driveway. Aditya got down from the left. Swami was surprised to see a tall gentleman step out from the right. He had never seen him earlier and was wondering who he was. Aditya and the new guy walked straight into the building and disappeared into the lift. Swami, did you see the guy with Aditya? Do you know who he is? No. What about him? Swami asked. I saw him for the first time this morning when he walked into Aditya's office. They have been closeted since. They stepped out for lunch a while ago. They are probably returning from there. Now, is there anything I must know? I don't know, but Aditya has been asking for all your files and is showing it to him. Though it was not right on Natasha's part to discuss this with Swami, but she felt obliged to do so. I thought you might know him. Don't know why, this time, Aditya didn't even introduce me to him. Come, let's go. Let's try to find out, said Swami and started walking briskly towards Aditya's room. As he entered the floor, Aditya saw him and shouted, Hey, Swami, come on in. As Swami walked into his room, the other man there looked up and shook his hand. Hello, Swami. Good to see you. Have heard a lot about you from Aditya. Swami looked perplexed because he didn't know who that guy was. Sunil, Swami will be one of your key guys going forward. Swami frowned at Aditya's stress on your and started wondering what was going on. Swami, continued Aditya, Sunil is our new country head for retail banking. He is going to take over from me. Oh, good afternoon, sir. Glad to meet you. And now if you would excuse him, I gotta run. Swami was curt and abrupt. It was clear that he didn't really like Sunil replacing Aditya. When Swami left in haste, Sunil was visibly pissed. This bloke didn't seem too thrilled to meet me. That's kinda strange. Does he have a history here? He wanted to know if Swami was a problem creator. Even before it began, their relationship had strained. Aditya smiled and let it pass, because he understood Swami more than anyone else. Back home, late in the evening, Swami confided in Kalpana and told her about his first meeting with Sunil Dutt, his future boss. Kalpana knew that Swami's reaction was not because of his dislike for Sunil, but his extreme devotion towards Aditya. Aditya was the one who gave him his career. Aditya was the one who gave him his stock options worth millions. He owed a lot to Aditya. She tried to reason with him. Look, it's quite possible that Sunil is not such a bad guy. One does not choose one's boss. This reasoning didn't impress Swami, but he said nothing. Sundeep's introduction to Sunil was quite different. The slick Sundeep managed his first meeting brilliantly, impressing Sunil and oozing positive energy. When he left, Sunil couldn't help wonder, what a guy! As far as first impressions were concerned, Sundeep had won, Swami had lost out. But with Sunil, Swami didn't want to win. No logical reason, but Swami simply didn't want to win. He just didn't want to be a Sunil guy. That evening, Swami and Sundeep went out for a drink. Sundeep for his screwdriver, and Swami for his thumbs up. Despite all the complications and their lives, they remained friends, more so because their families, that is, Kalpana and Natasha, got along really well, and their relationship continued even after Kalpana had quit and Natasha got married. "The guy is a creep," began Swami. "I can't stand him. He suffocates me." "He is still your boss, my friend. And when it comes to bosses, we seldom have a choice. When I had met Aditya for the first time, I had thought the same about him as well." This was the same logic that Kalpana had thrown at him. "I do not want to work with Sunil. After having worked with Aditya, I just can't. We are at a stage where we cannot make these choices. Why can't we join Aditya in his new venture?" The loyalist in Swami spoke. "Because he is too small right now and cannot afford you guys." They looked at each other because neither had spoken. The answer irritated both of them. "Who the fuck asked you?" they shouted and turned around. Aditya was standing there. "Natasha said I could find you guys here, so I came down." "Grow up, guys. I am flattered by your attachment to me. But remember, you can't always tag your careers to mine. Yes, I gave you guys the opportunity, and you guys grabbed it. I gave it to you also because I needed you at that time. I needed your fire to take us to our goal. But you guys have to break free now. I'm starting my software and processing business. It's a fledgling business and needs time to grow. Till it grows big, I will not be able to afford you." Neither Sundeep nor Swami said a thing. "Guys, remember, I have made my money. I have saved enough to be comfortable all my life, even if this venture of mine fails. If you guys join me, you will have to forego your stock options in NYB. Are you willing to do that? Come on, guys. Stop kidding yourselves. I have done what I wanted to in a large corporate. Remember, Swami, if you join me and I fail, you will have to start all over again in your career. God forbid, if you have to do that, I cannot live with that. Guilt?" No response still. "And now, folks, will you guys keep staring at me, or will you order my whiskey?" They kept drinking till 2 in the morning, and by the time the bar took the last order, both Sundeep and Aditya were dead drunk. Swami dropped them home in his new Maruti 800. Next morning, as Aditya was clearing his mailbox, a new mail popped up on the screen, titled "Urgent and Personal." It was from Swaminathan. "Dear Aditya, the 2 years of working with you were full of learning and fun. You trusted us with large deliverables, and we came good on each one of them. For us, your decision of leaving and starting your own company came as a big shock. We have now reconciled to your leaving us and going away. However, I have a small request. To make. With you not being around, I will not be able to work in the same role. The credit for my success in this position largely goes to you. I do not see how I could possibly continue delivering in this role once you have gone. I would like to request you to move me out of retail into some other unit before you leave this organization. I leave it to you to decide what is good for me. However, if it is not possible, I will not raise it till your last day at New York International Bank. However, the day after that, I will put in my papers and chart a fresh course for myself. I really do not see myself here without you. Regard, Swami. What an emotional fool! Aditya knew that Swami was a gooey, who was seldom wrong, and so it was next to impossible to make him change his view on anything. Aditya didn't have an option. There were another 15 days before Sunil moved in to take complete charge. Before he came in and took over from him, Aditya moved Swami to a plum role in Treasury. Sundeep took charge of Swami's portfolio. Sunil Dutt was not new to India. He had worked in India in the late 70s and early 80s, before going to New York on a foreign assignment. He was said to be very close to Joseph Fernandez, who was the senior-most Indian and Avery influential one in the higher echelons of power at New York International Bank. When Aditya made his intentions on quitting known, Joseph had personally seen to it that Sunil got the top job in India. Sunil had a gorgeous Norwegian wife and two lovely young daughters, Karen and Selena, aged 8 and 5 respectively. Sunil's wife had refused point-blank to come with him to India. After a lot of deliberation, they came to an arrangement that Sunil would go to India for 2 years and would go alone. Sunil was not a clean guy, and his reputation preceded him. Bit of a wheeler-dealer, he would do anything to get his work done. For him, self was above everything. He was the kind of guy who would sell his wife to get a deal through. More akin to Sundeep than to Swami, he had the reputation of a Casanova. The Insomnia pub in the Taj Mahal Hotel was host to the impressive welcome party for Sunil Dutt, which Aditya had organized. The top team of NYB was present in full strength. The key employees were invited, along with their spouses. Kalpana and Natasha were meeting after a long time. Both looked ravishing. Kalpana had put on a little weight, but it was fine. Any more of it, and she would look fat. Today she was looking gorgeous. After all the welcome speeches and the goody-goody noises, the party was thrown open. Booze was on tap. The latest Bollywood numbers were rocking the floor. Zeenat Aman was the MC for the night. Sunil Dutt had marked his presence on this event too. He did everything in style. His parties were the talk of the town for a long time. When it came to parties, it was said, Sunil wouldn't compromise. Sundeep and Natasha set the dance floor on fire. Swami and Kalpana were standing by the side, Kalpana sipping her wine, and Swami thumbs up as usual. Kalpana wanted to dance, but since Swami didn't really enjoy dancing, she went ahead and joined the crowd. Sunil walked up to Swami. "So, young man, will you ignite the fire in the Treasury Department as well?" "I will try my best." On a prom night, Swami, people who do their best always whine. "The winner takes the prom queen home," said Sunil at his arrogant best. "Thedialogue was a straight lift from a Hollywood flick." "Kalpana was a prom queen, Sunil," retorted Swami. Thanks to Kalpana, he'd seen the same Hollywood flick starring Nicolas Cage. He honestly didn't care too much because Sunil was not his boss anymore. Sunil was pissed, but couldn't do much about it. "I'll finish you," he muttered under his breath as Swami walked away. The dance floor was jam-packed, like a peak-hour Mumbai local. When Sunil pushed his way through, he found Sundeep and Natasha grooving and joined them. "Sunil, where's your drink?" asked Sundeep. "I'll get one when I am off the floor." "What do you want? I will get it for you," said Sundeep. "The regular whiskey and soda?" Sunil nodded as Sundeep dashed off the dance floor, leaving Natasha with Sunil. "Dance with me?" asked Sunil. Natasha didn't quite mind, as she was, anyway, grooving away furiously. Sunil matched her step for step. With every move of his, Sunil started moving closer to her. Natasha was a pro at handling advances. She was quick to notice and took preventive action. She was hoping that Sundeep would come back with the drink soon, but he was taking too long. Her eyes scanned the crowd to look for him, but she couldn't find him. Sunil realized that her attention was diverted, and in one move, his hand went behind her waist and drew her to him, and then released her almost immediately. This was just a sampling move. He was only testing the waters. Natasha was taken aback for a moment, but when Sunil released her, she relaxed a bit. When Sunil saw that Natasha didn't react, he started getting bolder. He moved in for the kill. He was so close to her now that Natasha could feel his breath. Sunil was a professional wooer. He was making it seem like a dance step, but it was not. No one around could realize what he was up to. Only Natasha knew. His hand was all over her back. When he pulled her close to him one more time, Natasha could make out that he was aroused. "Where the fuck is Sundeep?" she thought in desperation. Kalpana was dancing next to Natasha and could make out from her expression that all was not hunky-dory. She stopped dancing and went up to Natasha. She clutched her hand, looked at Sunil and said, "Sunil, will you please excuse us? I need to talk to her for a minute." Sunil couldn't refuse. She dragged her away from the floor, just as Sundeep returned with the drink. "Anything wrong?" he asked Sunil. "Well, no. Nothing. Just as the mood was building up, your wife went away with some lady. Maybe she thought I'm a lousy dancer," he said. The sarcasm in his voice was evident. Sunil didn't like to be turned down. Later that night, Sundeep and Natasha had a huge showdown. Sundeep was upset that Natasha had walked away from Sunil on the dance floor. Natasha kept explaining what Sunil did, but Sundeep did not listen. He felt she was overreacting. For the first time in 18 months, Natasha felt that Sundeep was not the kind of guy she thought he was. Did he marry me because he really loves me, or was it something else? Natasha wondered as she hit the bed. That night, life in office became tough for Natasha. She was finding it difficult to cope with Sunil. This man was known to be a vindictive guy. He had not forgotten the dance floor snub and would make snide remarks at Natasha once in a while. Natasha decided to bide her time. Sometimes, when it became unbearable, she would call Swami or Kalpana and cry her heart out. She didn't say anything to Sundeep. She knew he wouldn't empathize with her. He was out to build a relationship with Sunil and was blind to everything that would make it difficult. In the next few years, many other banks also got into the loans business. But given their long history as deposit gatherers, with limited exposure to lending, they were extremely conservative in their lending policies. It was a horror for customers to avail of loans. To get a check in hand, one had to survive a tortuous process from the time of application for a loan. Reams of documents would be collected from the applicant for a loan worth a few lakhs of rupees. A customer would end up making 5 to 6 trips to the bank, sometimes even more, for just one loan. If they managed to get a housing loan approved in a month, it meant the bank manager had decided to do them a favor. Normally, banks took their own sweet time. Those days, banks would sell loans directly to customers, without any intermediaries. In this scenario, NYB made a breakthrough by pioneering a concept called DSAs, direct selling agents. Sunil introduced DSAs for NYB's personal loans and home loans business in the 4 big metros in India. The DSAs worked for AFE as intermediaries between the customer and the bank. They helped the customer complete the documentation required by the bank and ensured that the loan application was made in a form acceptable to the bank. They also did the running around on behalf of the customers. It was a win-win situation for both the bank and the customer. Sunil liked to keep his hand on the pulse of the marketplace and hence reviewed his businesses with the heads once in a month. During one such review with Sundeep, Sunil steered the discussion towards DSAs. Sundeep, there is an acquaintance of mine, Ram Naresh. He is a chartered accountant in Kolkata and is very well networked there. He wants to become a home loans DSA for us. Why don't you meet him and see what you can do? With him? This was how Sundeep first met Ram Naresh, a typical Gujubai who was a third-generation Calcuttan. It didn't take long for Sundeep to figure out that Ram Naresh was more than an acquaintance for Sunil Dutt. Ram Naresh knew a number of people within the NYB circuit, and he had no qualms about using these contacts for his benefit. He was a more than useful guy. Definitely more useful than he had imagined. Drooling over chicks and constantly talking about them was this Guju Bai's trademark. He would drop names at every opportunity, names that meant something to Sundeep. How do you think Sunil went to the US? Didn't he tell you? Seeing a blank look on Sundeep's face, he added, Didn't he tell you that I had spoken to Joseph to get him the job in the US when he was struggling here in India? Joseph? Joseph Fernandez, your vice chairman. Oh, you did that? It was very kind of you to have helped him. Don't worry, Sundeep. We will do something for you too. Sundeep hit it off with Ram Naresh in a big way. They had found some common links in the army. And that was not all. They also realized that some of Sundeep's family friends had studied with Ram Naresh at Lovedale in Ooty. Moreover, Naresh's father was a teacher there and had also taught Sundeep, who was alumnus of the same school. Naresh wanted NYB to cover the cost of setting up his DSA. Naresh spent a lot of time explaining how the financials would work. Sundeep was getting more and more interested. By lunchtime, Sundeep had lapped up the idea. This discussion had taken place in the bank's conference room. Naresh invited Sundeep to come in and see his office. They stepped out for lunch and then drove to Naresh's office. Naresh's office was in a small, dingy lane. The lane led to the back entry of a 10-story building called Everest Towers. He led him up to the second floor and into his gaudily decorated office. In the corner was a cricket bat autographed by all, the members of the Indian team that had won the 1983 World Cup. Occupying the pride of place on one of the walls was a stick-on board that had pictures of every one of Sundeep's seniors at New York International Bank who were now in senior positions overseas. The pictures were taken at various times on their visits to Naresh's office. The seat of honor went to a picture of Joseph Fernandez hugging Ram Naresh. They went and sat down on Naresh's nicely laid-out table. "You haven't met my secretary, right?" said Naresh, as if the secretary was a piece of art. "No, not yet," said Sundeep, and added, "Do you mind if I smoke here?" "Please go ahead. Here you can do anything you want. Absolutely anything." And almost as an afterthought, he said, "Wait, we will get her to light it for you." "Monica." "Oh, that's the Cece's name," thought Sundeep. A cute 20-something girl walked into Naresh's office. She was wearing a figure-hugging, red-colored t-shirt with a miniskirt that ended a foot above her knee. Her outfit left little to Sundeep's imagination. A brief sentence of introduction later, Naresh asked her to get a lighter for Sundeep. The moment she turned, he looked at Sundeep and licked his lips with his tongue. "Degi Kaya? You think she will give me?" he asked Sundeep. "Of course," said Sundeep. "You just have to ask." "I am very old, Yar. These youngsters don't want to have fun with me," Naresh said slyly. Monica returned within a minute with a cigarette lighter. When she came close to Sundeep to light his cigarette, the smell of her perfume filled Sundeep's nostrils. As she bent down to light his cigarette, the neckline of her t-shirt dropped a bit, exposing what they were desperately trying to hide. Sundeep could not take his eyes off her. "My God, is she hot," he thought as the flame hit his cigarette. The moment the cigarette was lit, the lighter dropped from her hand and fell in Sundeep's lap. "Oh, I am so sorry," she said as she slowly picked up the lighter, lightly brushing her hand against his swollen crotch. "Will that be fine, sir?" she said, bordering on an innuendo. The moment she left the room, Naresh looked at him. "Which cigarette were you getting her to light?" And both of them began to laugh. "Isn't she hot?" asked Naresh. "Wow, eminently humpable." The conversation eventually turned to the financials of the DSA proposal. Sandeep agreed to a deal heavily tilted in favor of Naresh. Well, after Monica's performance, it couldn't be otherwise. They shook hands and parted ways. "Sandeep, it was great meeting you. My driver will drop you at your hotel." "Thanks, Ram." The moment Sandeep had left, Naresh called out for Monica. Sandeep reached his hotel quite late. He had a shower and changed into casual clothes. The clock on the wall told him that it was 9 p.m. He had just picked up the phone to call Natasha when the doorbell rang. He was in for a surprise when he opened the door. "Hey, Monica, what a surprise. What brings you here?" "Naresh, sir, asked me to see you. He said there was some work to finish," she said seductively. Sandeep didn't understand. "I think there has been some miscommunication. We had completed everything before I left his office. I am so sorry you had to come all the way." She smelled good. He had liked the smell back at Naresh's office, too. Edge of his bed, Monica had already made her way into the room and was standing at the "No, sir. He asked me to finish the work I had left incomplete in the afternoon." Sandeep was clueless. What was she talking about? "Sir, when I dropped the lighter on you this afternoon, I figured out that you were on fire down there despite the lighter being off. I thought maybe I could help you put out that fire," she said, and took off her sandals. Sandeep was getting turned on. "When I was leaving the room, the two of you were admiring my ass. Why not feel them now?" "Etri." She unzipped her skirt and it fell on the carpet. The thought of Natasha back in Mumbai flashed through Sandeep's mind. But just for a moment. She won't get to know about this, he told himself. Then Monica started unbuckling Sandeep's belt and he completely lost it. He quickly got rid of his clothes and ripped off her t-shirt. Soon they were on the bed, hungrily devouring each other. Monica gave Sandeep one of the best fucks of his life. When Sandeep woke up the next day, Monica had already left. On the bed was a small note. "Hope you had a good time. I loved it. Any time for you, sir." It slowly dawned on Sandeep that it meant, "Any time for Naresh, sir." By sending Monica to him, Naresh had bought him for life. He had got a good deal from New York International Bank, and now he had ensured that the deal washes forever. The phone rang. Sandeep picked it up. "Ki had hai? How are you, young man? Kudi ne rati son ditta ki nahi? Did Monica let you sleep last night?" It was Naresh on the line. Sandeep saw through the setup. He wanted to curse Naresh, but the fact was that he had himself to blame for all this. Naresh had his contacts in the bank right up to Joseph Fernandez. No point screwing around with him. He could finish his career at NYB. When everyone in the bank played ball, why should he be any different? Yes, Ram, she was fabulous. He was in it now. And once you are sucked in, there is no getting out. Sandeep did not realize the dangerous game he had got into. His long friendship with Naresh had begun. In Mumbai the previous evening, Sunil Dutt asked Natasha to stay back late. He gave her a few dictations, a few mails to respond to, a few presentation slides to update, and a few calls to put through. Natasha did everything diligently, but when she found out that the calls were actually made to friends in New York, she started getting worried. Was Sunil planning something sinister? All the work that he gave her could have waited till the next day. But he was the boss and she couldn't have questioned him. After finishing work at around 11 at night, he asked her out for a drink. Natasha refused. She said that she had to get back home. "Oh, come on. I know Sandeep has gone to Calcutta. There's no one at home. What will you do there? In any case, tomorrow is a Saturday. Let's go out, have some fun, and I'll drop you back." Or if you want to come back home with me, I'm game. What the fuck, she thought. Sunil was directly asking her to sleep with him. How dare he? She felt outraged. She wanted to give him one tight slap, but held herself back. Let Sundeep come. Back! I will ensure you are history, she told herself. But deep inside she knew what Sundeep's reaction would be. He would again say she overreacted. When there was no reaction from Natasha for a while, Sunil looked at her and said, My bed is better than the loo. I can promise you that, he said with an emphasis on the word loo. When Natasha still didn't react, he picked up his bag and left. Natasha was shattered when he said this. She was extremely upset and shivered with fury. She collapsed on the sofa next to her workstation, and tears rolled down her cheeks. Natasha didn't know what to do. She first thought about calling Sundeep, but decided against it. Had she tried to, she wouldn't have got through. Sundeep had activated the Do Not Disturb sign on his telephone before jumping into bed with Monica. All calls to his room would be held back. Natasha didn't move for the next 5 minutes. She didn't know whom to call, who to talk to. Finally, she got up, picked up a phone, and dialed a number. Hello. It was Kalpana at the other end. Natasha couldn't say a word. She started, sobbing. Hello, who is it? Hello, hello. Natasha, is that you? Kalpana was beginning to panic. Yes, it's me. And the sobbing intensified. Oh dear, what's wrong? Where are you? I am in office. What are you doing there so late, Natasha? Asked Kalpana. Swami was next to Kalpana, hearing her side of the conversation. If she is still in office, I think I know what the problem is. Ask her to wait there. I will be there in 20 minutes, said Swami. Natasha, stay there. We're coming to get you, said Kalpana and hung up. Swami was already up and changing into his trousers. Natasha kept the phone down and once again contemplated calling Sundeep. She brushed away the idea. The feeling of getting violated by Sunil Dutt's proposition was not the only thing that hurt her. She had dealt with lecherous people in the past. What grieved her even more was what Sunil said. My bed is better than the loo. Sunil knew all about her romp with Sundeep in the loo. How the hell did he know that? Besides the two of them, Aditya was the only one who knew. Even Swami and Kalpana didn't know about it. Had Aditya told Sunil about it? She had thought of Aditya as God, as family, friend, and guide. And he had made a mockery of her devotion. She was pissed with him. Sunil made her angry, but it was Aditya who made her cry. Swami and Kalpana parked the car on the street and ran into the building. Sunil Sab Kidar Hain? Swami asked the guard about Sunil Dutt's whereabouts. Abhi bees minute hua nikalke. Sunil had left 20 minutes ago, around the same time that Natasha called them. The guard's answer confirmed Swami's fear. Bastard, thought Swami as both of them ran up the stairs to the second-floor office. Natasha saw them and burst into tears once again. Kalpana hugged her and patted her on the back. Don't say anything, sweetheart. Let's get out of here. She turned towards Swami. Look at her, she is shivering. Let's take her to a doctor. No one spoke in the car. Natasha didn't want to visit the doc, so the plan was dropped. By the time they got home, she was feeling better. Kalpana brewed her a cup of coffee, which made her feel even better. She cleared up the guest room and tucked Natasha into a warm bed. They switched off the light and came out. Both of them were feeling miserable about it. All this while, the one who should actually be feeling the most miserable about the whole episode was enjoying his romp in bed with Monica in faraway Kolkata. Swami was a little shaken by the way Natasha was being treated. Is this becoming a culture? In the bank? Are women meant to be walked over? Is this the way all foreign banks worked? The bank may be foreign, he thought, but the people working here are all Indian. Why should a few slime balls like Sunil be allowed to bring disrepute to a bank? He didn't have the answers? Swami tossed and turned in bed that whole night, and was up the next morning before both Kalpana and Natasha. He desperately wanted to do something about Sunil's behavior, but felt extremely helpless. He wanted to call Sandeep, but knowing his reaction to the dance floor incident, he decided against it. Kalpana and Swami were having coffee when Natasha came out of the room. Her eyes were red and swollen. She hadn't slept well. Swami thrust a cup of coffee into her hand and said, "Don't worry, Natasha. It will all be fine." No one spoke about the previous night. Natasha had lunch with both of them before they dropped her home. Since it was a Saturday, they didn't have to go to work. Natasha found it difficult, actually impossible, to believe that Aditya had told Sunil about the most personal and embarrassing event in her life. She couldn't resist calling Aditya. She dialed his number. When Aditya picked up the phone, she hung up. What would she ask him? How embarrassing would it be to discuss this with Aditya? She finally decided not to ask him. Sandeep got back on Sunday. Actually, he was supposed to come back on Saturday night. Just as he was packing up to leave for the airport, Monica had arrived, this time in tight jeans and a tank top. Sandeep had immediately stopped packing his bag and started unpacking her. How could he have left? He called Natasha and told her, "Not coming back tonight. Review with the sales team didn't get over." He had then hurriedly disconnected the call because Monica had already reached for his zippers. He did not want to give up even a minute of this heaven. Swami called up Aditya on Sunday. "You must not lose heart, Swami. One person does not make a bank. Our bank is not Sunil Dutt. It is a nice place to work." Aditya tried to convince him. Sandeep and Natasha should take a strong stand on this and take it up with someone senior in the organization. People flow integrity are definitely not good for any bank. Sandeep does not know this, and Natasha doesn't want to tell him, said Swami. He then told him about what happened at Aditya's farewell party, which was also Sunil's welcome bash. She doesn't want to go back to work. Aditya was silent for a while. "Okay, I will then try and speak to Shelley Andrade. I know her very well." Shelley was a senior manager in NYB's Asia-Pacific Human Resources team and was based in Singapore. She was also the head of the Diversity Committee for the bank in the Asia-Pacific region. The Diversity Committee had been formed to ensure that the bank acted as an equal opportunity employer for people from all genders, caste, and ethnic backgrounds. Most of their time and energy was taken up by their effort to make the work environment more conducive for women. They took up a number of issues on behalf of women employees. Aditya had this in mind when he decided to speak to Shelley. He called her the same night. "Hi Aditya, good to hear from you after a long time. I was planning to call you up myself." "That's nice. What can I do for you?" "I am looking for a job. Was wondering if there is a good role in your new organization." "Stop. Kidding, Shelley." Aditya thought she was joking. "I'm serious, pal. I put in my papers last Monday and the bank relieved me the same evening. I do not have a job now." "What are you saying, Shelley? After 20 years, it doesn't make a fucking difference, Aditya. I have given this bank 20 years of my life. All that counts for nothing." She seemed very upset. "But what happened, Shelley? I don't know what the bank is coming to. A few days back, I had a run-in with Patrick." Aditya knew Patrick. Patrick was the head of human resources for the Asia-Pacific region and was Shelley's boss. "He made a pass at me, and when I spurned him, he called me a milch cow," continued Shelley. "You should have lodged a complaint," Aditya thundered. "Of course I did. You wouldn't believe what happened next. Instead of acting on my complaint and taking action against Patrick, the organization decided to toast me to go. I was given a separation package and asked to leave. I made a lot of noise about it. Finally, they told me to either take the package and leave or run the risk of getting terminated on grounds of poor performance and lose out on all benefits. I opted for the former. This was so depressing. What could Aditya do? He had already left the organization. Where was corporate life heading? Aditya then decided to stay away from the politics and sleaze of the corporate world and focus on his own business. It would be better if Natasha and Sandeep handled these issues themselves, rather than expecting him to play God. Monday mornings at NYB were set aside for operational review meetings. All the business heads of NYB met with Sunil for a review of the previous week and to give him an update of the state of their businesses. This meeting was very important for Sunil to keep his fingers on the pulse of the business. Normally, this meeting would begin an hour earlier than the regular working hours of the bank. Sunil didn't want this to eat into everybody's regular working hours. On Monday, Sandeep was hurriedly getting dressed to leave for office. He noticed that Natasha was not even making an attempt to get ready for work. Natasha, I have the weekly Monday morning meeting today. Got to leave early. Are you planning to go late? I am not going today. Why? Are you fine? No, Sandeep, I'm just feeling a bit under the weather. Planning on taking an off today. What happened? Should we go to the doctor? Let me call and tell Sunil that I will be late. No, it's okay, Sandeep. Just feeling a bit tired. I'll come if I feel better. You carry on. Sandeep hesitated but eventually said, Okay, take care. Call me if you need anything. He closed the door and stepped towards his car. Sandeep walked into the meeting 5 minutes before the scheduled start. Sunil was already there. He assumed that Natasha would have come with Sandeep. Has Natasha come in? I need some papers. No, Sunil. She is not feeling well. She said that she would call you. Good, thought Sunil. He was happy that Sandeep hadn't reacted violently. This meant that he had no clue what happened on Friday. Natasha hadn't told him. But why? Why would she not tell him? While he was relieved that Sandeep hadn't been told, he was also a touch nervous. He just couldn't figure this out. Sandeep, of course, was extremely nice and cordial to Sunil. Swami hoped that Aditya would do something to ensure that guys like Sunil do not go scot-free. When Aditya didn't call him back, he called him upon Monday evening. Aditya, this Sunil thing has been on my mind for the last 3 days. We need to do something soon. I agree. Aditya, you said you would speak to someone in Singapore and take this up. What could Aditya say? He narrated the entire incident to Swami. I am helpless, Swami. I tried my best. I don't know, Aditya. If you do not do anything, I will have to do something. I will go to the press with this story, Aditya. He was extremely frustrated, and his middle-class morality did not permit him to take this lying down. Aditya was worried now. Swami was his guy. If Swami did something stupid, he would screw up his own career, and he did not want that to happen. He did not want Swami to take it upon himself. He had to buy time till the entire issue settled down. He asked Swami for 6 months. I have moved out of the bank, Swami. To reactivate my network and move something in this bank would take 6 months. Natasha took the week off, before returning to work. Everyone, including Sunil, Swami had insisted. Behave normally with I will surely do something to address your concerns. It was traumatic to be back at work. Sunil ignored her and so did she. Sunil hired another secretary to do his work. He would not give any work to Natasha. He cold-shouldered her. Natasha would go to office, keep sitting, not do anything the entire day, and then come back home. This was upsetting her no end. She was close to becoming a nervous wreck. She didn't tell Sandeep anything, as he wouldn't understand. He didn't know the context. In the next 1 month, an audit was to hit the Human Resources Department of NYB. Audit was a very serious issue at NYB, and poor audit results could badly impact career prospects. All units that were to be audited would work day in and day out for a week prior to audit to get their paperwork, records, and trails in order. Abhinav Mukherjee, head of HR at NYB, was reviewing the audit preparation. He pulled out the last audit report. This audit had been done 3 years back. This was normally the best way to prepare for an audit. Identify mistakes of the past and ensure that they are not repeated. He went through it point by point. HR was better prepared now than they were the last time. When he reached the second last point on the audit report, he raised an eyebrow. That comment by the audit team read, "No two people from the same family can work in the same unit and report to the same supervisor." The auditors had then identified 3 such couples. In one case, the wife was reporting to the husband. These were obvious issues that had to be fixed. "Get me a list of all employees whose spouse, sibling, or child work with us. I also need the names of their supervisors," he asked his secretary. Within 15 minutes, Mukherjee had a list of 12 employees whose spouse, sibling, or child worked in the bank. In all but one case, they were in different units, and hence, there was no issue, all except one. Sandeep and Natasha worked for the same supervisor, Sunil. He called Natasha. Abhinav knew that Sandeep was critical for Sunil's team, and therefore Natasha had to move. He spoke to Natasha for over 20 minutes and explained his predicament. "Which unit would you want to move to? Just checking on your preferences so that I can keep them at the back of my mind before I speak to Sunil about it." Abhinav knew that Sandeep was close to Sunil, and so he thought Sunil was very nice to her, more than what one would normally be with a secretary. "Can we talk about this tomorrow morning? If that's fine with you. I would like to consult a few other people as well. I am traveling for the next 1 week, so let's talk next week. I will call you once I am back." "Sure, Abhinav." When Abhinav called her 10 days later, she had her answer ready. "I would be fine moving to Treasury. The secretary's position there is vacant. Let me see what I can do." Over the next couple of days, Abhinav spoke to Sunil and also to Sundeep. Sunil was more than happy to relieve her and let her move to another unit. Within a week, Natasha became a part of Swami's team. Swami had managed to pull Natasha out of hell. What Natasha did not know was that it was a behind-the-scene maneuver by Aditya. Aditya had created a vacancy for Natasha in Swami's team. He had hired the current incumbent in his new company at double the salary and had insisted that she join within 1 week. Swami released her almost immediately. Once the vacancy was created, they shoved it right under HR's nose, asking for the job to be given to Natasha. HR was more than happy to oblige as they were only 4 days from audit. All this while, Sandeep, as usual, was oblivious of everything. Sandeep's trips to Calcutta became a lot more frequent. He rarely missed a visit to Naresh's office. Once he was sitting in Naresh's room, while the latter was showing off the mini golf strip that he had laid out on his floor. "Reshma!" Naresh shouted out for someone. Sandeep raised his eyebrow. He had only heard Naresh call out for Monica. A young girl walked in, barely 19 years old. "Gee, Naresh, sir. Have you met Mr. Srivastava? He heads loans with New York International Bank. Wahan Pe Assistant Vice President. हैं? जाओ इनके लिए एक कप शक्कर वाली स्पेशल चाय बोलना." Sandeep couldn't take his eyes off her. She had a body to kill for. When she turned, Sandeep's eyes lit up. She had the best bums he had ever seen. Naresh again smacked his lips and said, "Ye degi." Sandeep smiled. He was already thinking about his evening. Naresh had already set up a large team for selling home loans for NYB. "यार श्रीवास्तवा, 4 महीने हो गए, कुछ और करते हैं. ऐसा कुछ करते हैं कि मजा आ जावे." Naresh was bored and was looking for something more exciting. "मेरा एक call center खुलवा दे." Naresh wanted to set up a call center for New York International Bank and explained the entire deal to Sandeep. "Look, Sandeep, I will invest in this call center. You give me the business. I will manage the complete customer service for New York International Bank in India." At that time, there was no concept of phone banking in India, Even then, our thriving BPO industry had not reared its head. Naresh was smart. He knew how to get his work done. He knew that Sandeep could swing the deal for him. When Sandeep started thinking, Reshma came back with the tea. Sandeep's thinking went for a toss. Then Naresh threw in the sweetener. I will run the call center on paper, but we will actually own it. Sandeep looked at him questioningly. Yes, continued Naresh. It will be a 60-40 partnership between us. 60 mine and 40 yours. After a pause, he said, think how many Reshmas we can hire in the call center. Every day, someone new to fuck. Sandeep didn't react. Naresh knew he had won. Naresh dropped Sandeep off at the hotel after dinner. Sandeep went up to his room and had a quick shower. He was sipping his whiskey when the doorbell rang. He jumped to open the door. He was pleasantly surprised. At the door were Reshma and Monica. One look at them, and Sandeep was immediately aroused. Sir, I came to give a handover to Reshma, said Monica as she ran her fingers teasingly over Sandeep's dick. The door banged shut and the Do Not Disturb sign came up. Reshma was even better than Monica, and for the first time in his life, Sandeep fucked 2 women in a single night. Naresh had got his call center, and Sandeep his double fuck. Sandeep was just leaving for a review when the phone rang. Kya kar raha hoi, yaar? You haven't come to Calcutta for over 2 weeks now. My secretary keeps asking me about you. Here, talk to her. Naresh gave Reshma the phone. Sir, what happened? Monica told me that you came to Calcutta every week to see her. You do not like me, Reshma asked him in her trademark seductive tone. I will be there this week, said Sandeep. He kept his promise. Naresh's limousine picked him up from the airport and took him straight to his den. Naresh came down from his office to meet him. Then they went to Naresh's house for lunch. The lecherous Naresh kept talking about his secretaries and the fun he had with them. Sandeep, please change your hiring policy. The way your team hires is painful, said Naresh. Why, what happened now? Asked Sandeep. Did any of my sales guys managing your team screw up? No, Yar. Your problem is that you only look at motivating your sales guys. What about my motivation? Shouldn't you be looking at that too? I must also feel happy to meet your sales managers. Today, none of your managers fits the T&A criteria. T&A criteria? Sandeep didn't understand what he meant. Don't know T&A criteria, tits and ass, my friend. Basics in life. If they didn't meet that criteria, then you should not hire them, irrespective of how good they are. Sandeep burst out laughing. All this was supposedly in jest. However, Sandeep's hiring criteria did change after this. T&A criteria was informally applied to every candidate he met. Interactions with Naresh had started shaping his behavior. Slowly but surely, Naresh was becoming an integral part of Sandeep's bank. He had grown so big that 70% of the business in eastern India for New York International Bank was originated by Naresh's team. The Naresh factor had begun to impact Sandeep's personal life. He was spending less time with Natasha. He had started neglecting her. Natasha found emotional support in Swami and Kalpana. Naresh also had a great relationship with Sunil. With secretaries like Monica, relationships were not difficult to build. Sandeep used Naresh smartly for insights into Sunil. Naresh fed him all the relevant information. If Sunil said anything good about Sandeep, he would get to know. If Sunil had a negative view on anything, Sandeep would know. This helped him to quickly fix any perception issues with his boss. Riding on Naresh, Sandeep's equation with Sunil was on a high. It suited Naresh too. Sandeep was constantly reminded of the fact that Naresh knew his boss better than he did. If he didn't take care of Naresh, his career with NYB had no chance of taking off. Obviously, Sunil had Naresh's ear more than Sandeep had. Business was growing. Perceptions were great. Career was galloping. Things were going fine. Till one day. On that day, Sundeep had come to Calcutta on one of his many Naresh trips. After a hectic day at work, Naresh dropped him to his hotel. Back in his room, he showered and, as usual, waited for Naresh's CC. This time it was Linda, a hot babe in her early 20s. Reshma, too, was with her, supposedly to give a handover to Linda. The next 6 hours were full of moaning and groaning. Sundeep spent the whole night in bed with the two women, having the time of his life. It was 5 in the morning when Sundeep opened his eyes. Linda and Reshma had just got up and were wearing their clothes. He looked at Linda, stretched out his hand and pulled her down on the bed. After 20 more minutes of ecstasy, Linda wore her clothes again and prepared to leave. Sundeep followed them to the door to see them off. It was only 5:30, and since he was not going to step out of the room, he didn't feel it necessary to wear anything. "See you soon, sir." "You were great," said Linda, and walked out into the corridor with Reshma. Sundeep's ego swelled and he blew them a kiss. They turned and blew a kiss back at him. As the two women were leaving, someone walked past Sundeep's room. While they were giggling and blowing kisses at Sundeep, who was standing nude at the door, this individual looked back in exasperation. He saw the two giggly women and, beyond them, a naked Sundeep peeping out from behind the door. His heart sank. A few wrinkles of concern appeared on his forehead for an instant. He just turned and walked away without saying anything. Sundeep saw him and froze. He couldn't move. It was as if he was paralyzed. Standing there in the corridor beyond the two raunch queens was someone whom Sundeep, in his wildest of dreams, wouldn't have imagined to be there. The door hardly did anything to conceal Sundeep's nudity. He stood there completely exposed. As he shut the door, he could see that he was shivering. The AC in the room showed 24 degrees. Sundeep was booked on the 1:00 p.m. Jet Airways flight from Calcutta to Mumbai. He was initially scheduled to go back the previous night, but when Naresh told him about Linda, he had decided to stay back. When he stepped into the flight, there was only one other passenger in business class. Being an afternoon flight, it was fairly light. When the captain announced for the doors to be armed for takeoff, there were still only 2 passengers. Sundeep was a worried man. He kept looking nervously at the other passenger from the corner of his eyes, but that guy was only interested in the scenery outside. Sundeep waited for a few minutes after takeoff, but couldn't bear it any longer. He unbuckled his seatbelt and walked up to the other passenger, who'd his eyes trained on a fixed spot on the window. He stood there for a moment, but the other guy didn't even look at him. Sundeep placed his hand on the other man's shoulder. "How long has this been going on?" he asked Swami without even bothering to look at Sundeep. 3 months. There was a prolonged silence at Swami's end. "What are you going to do now?" asked a worried Sundeep. There was not a trace of guilt on his face. He just didn't want to be exposed. "That's all. The easiest thing for me to do is to tell Natasha. But I won't. Not because you are my friend and I want to protect you, but because Kalpana and I adore her. She will be shattered if we tell her about this, particularly after what she has gone through." Sundeep didn't understand the last bit. Swami was referring to the problems Natasha had had with Sunil Dutt. Sundeep just nodded. "I will not tell Natasha anything. Relax, Sundeep. But I need to know the complete story." Swami wanted to get to the bottom of this. Swami could never have imagined this side of Sundeep's character. That morning, Swami had set out for an early morning walk, when he became an inadvertent witness to Sundeep's escapades. How he wished that he hadn't seen that. But can you rewind your life? He thought about Natasha. What did she do to deserve this? She was such a sweetheart. She had already gone through so much trauma, and on top of that, if she got to know of this, she would surely be shattered. He will not tell Natasha anything about what he saw. Not even to Kalpana, he promised himself. "I want the complete story, Sundeep. No shortcuts." Sundeep told him the story, from the time Sunil asked him to meet Naresh, to his escapades with his secretaries and the call center deal. Swami was appalled. How could someone like Sundeep fall a prey to all this? Sundeep hadn't told him about the financial benefits accruing to him. Swami didn't need to know. Sundeep, I will not tell Natasha, but under one condition. Sundeep nodded. Anything was acceptable to him to prevent his exposure. All this has to stop from this very instant. If I get to hear anything like this again, I will leave no stone unturned to get you completely exposed, despite you being my friend. Trust me, Swami, said Sundeep, trying to suppress his glee. He had succeeded in managing Swami. Not for a second was Sundeep ashamed of what he had done. And you will be loyal to Natasha throughout your life. Sundeep nodded his acceptance. This congestion at the Mumbai airport in mid-afternoon is utter madness. I will have to tolerate Swami's sermon for at least another 15 minutes, thought Sundeep after the pilot announced that they were 12th in the landing sequence. Finally, when they landed and came out of the airport, Swami warned Sundeep for one last time and walked out to a waiting car. Back at home, Kalpana wondered what had gone wrong. Why did Swami come back so soon? This was not normal. Swami, what happened? She asked him the moment she saw him at the door. Nothing. I was just feeling a bit unwell. The moment Swami said this, Kalpana knew that he was lying. She did not push him because she trusted him and knew that he would not hide anything important from her. That morning, a desperate Sundeep had tried to call Naresh from his hotel room. Naresh was not at home. He had, in fact, not returned the previous night. In those days, there were no mobile phones, and so Sundeep had no means of getting in touch with him. Naresh called back in the evening, after over a dozen calls from Sundeep. What happened? Asked Naresh. You don't sound too good. He knew, from the number of messages he had got, that something was not right. When Sundeep told him about the incident, Naresh laughed it away. Is that all? You should have sounded off Reshma. She would have managed Swami on the spot. You are selfish, Sundeep. If I was you, I would have sent either Linda or Reshma to him. Mil band ke khana chahiye. Naresh was telling him that he should have sent one of the sirens to Swami to buy his silence. No, Ram. You don't know Swami. Gandhi ka chela hai. If there was a competition for the guy who is closest to Mahatma Gandhi, Swami will beat the Mahatma himself, hands down. There's not a guy in this bank who I can't manage, boasted Naresh. Linda and Reshma are wonderful, my friend. You haven't dealt with Swami yet? Are you worried? I am not worried about today. I have somehow managed it. The concern is that he will be a constant nuisance from now on. He will always be on my trail. He and his wife are both very close to Natasha. To uska koi jugaad kar dete hai. Tu shanti rakh. Naresh promised to find a way to deal with Swami. Don't harm him. Just get him out of our way, said Sundeep, and hung up. Naresh didn't like bankers that didn't toe his line. This was not the first time. He had dealt successfully with a lot of bankers like Swami in the past. Just as he had made people's careers at New York International Bank, he had also screwed up careers of those who didn't fall in line. Swami was about to witness the power of Naresh. A couple of weeks later, Swami and Kalpana went off for their annual vacation. A long-awaited vacation for both of them. Kalpana had invited Sundeep and Natasha to join them, but Sundeep declined, stating some pressing work issues and reviews with Sunil. Swami suspected that Naresh was behind this, but didn't say a word. Swami and Kalpana took a KLM flight via Amsterdam to reach Barcelona. They went on a week-long cruise from Barcelona. The cruise took them deep into the Mediterranean. They visited the islands of Palma de Majorca and Corsica. Corsica was the island where Napoleon de Bonaparte was born. This was their first vacation after their honeymoon in Kodai. Kalpana had pestered Swami till he gave her the dates and the budget for the vacation. She'd organized it entirely on her own. Swami had taken an overseas vacation for the first time and was very excited about it. By the time the cruise docked back in Barcelona after a week, it had transported the couple into a very different world that they didn't want to come back from. When the flight from Amsterdam landed in Mumbai at 2:00 a.m., they didn't feel like getting off the aircraft. The moment they set their foot back on Mumbai soil, it would signal the end of their vacation. Kalpana knew that the next vacation would have to wait for at least another 18 months. They dragged themselves out of the aircraft and came back home, collecting their luggage on the way out. The next morning, Kalpana called Natasha to tell her all about the trip. "I wish I had gone with you folks. Anyway, Sundeep was in Calcutta all the while," said Natasha. Then she asked for Swami. "Swami, Roger was trying to get in touch with you. I told him that you were holidaying in Europe. He has asked you to call him the moment you get back." Roger, an expat, was Swami's immediate supervisor. "Anything urgent?" asked Swami. "Nothing that I am aware of. I asked the others in your team and they too didn't know. But no less than 4 times last week has Roger asked me to remind you," said Natasha. "Should I call him today?" It was a Sunday. "I think it can. Wait till tomorrow morning. Just be prepared then. My intention was not to make you nervous. I just wanted to let you know." "Thanks, Natasha. How is Sundeep?" "He is still sleeping like a log." "Okay, I will let him be. Let's chat tomorrow morning." "In office," said Swami and hung up. He was wondering what the issue could be. Part 3 is coming very soon. I'm already working on it, so make sure you stay connected. If you're enjoying the audiobook and appreciate the effort I'm putting into it, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an upload. But hey, if you're not finding it useful, feel free to hit the dislike. I welcome all feedback. My audiobook channel is new, and your support means a lot. Also, let me know in the comments what I can improve. I'm always looking to make things better. If you want the free PDF of this book, join my Telegram group. The link is in the bio. I'm Alex, and you were listening to Audiobooks 880. Thanks for tuning in. See you in the next part.